Okay, on this video today, I'm going to talk about how to add keyword or campaign name data or other metadata, we'll just say, from the campaigns that you're running on Google and attach that to your leads as they come in. Mainly, for the reason that most people do this is to be able to see what campaign a user came from, or what ad they came from, or what keyword they came from when they became a client, and so they can do long-term value tracking of the advertising that they're running is actually making them at the end of the day. People want to know, you could see what the value is kind of up front from a campaign, whether they turned into a lead or not. There's a lot more to be gleaned from what is the lifetime value even of a particular customer or client that you had coming in when they originated as having coming in from a lead. So basically anything that you're doing running PPC for and to do lead generation, to do sales there at your company. So there are, as I've listed here, 4 main ways that I'm going to go through with you on how to actually do this. How, as a lead is generated, and you get it into your email account or you get it into your CRM, whether you're using Salesforce, Zoho, whatever, that lead now is going to have the keyword with it, first name, last name, phone number, keyword. First name, last name, phone number, keyword, campaign name. First name, last name, phone number, keyword, campaign, ad, whatever ad they clicked on. That's the end result of these 4 ways that I'm going to give you to be able to improve what you're doing. In other words, to get more, basically more leverage on what you're doing through Google, to get the information advantage on them, and of course your competitors, so you know where to place your chips and place your bets when you're running the Google ads for yourself, so that you are scraping off the cream off the top of what's available in your market and leaving all the crap behind for all your competitors who are not going to be looking into and having this level of awareness into what they're spending their money on, so that they're actively buying worse and worse traffic because they don't have the understanding that what they're buying is not as valuable. They're going, wow, I'm getting a lot of leads, so this must work. And you know that the leads that they're getting are crap, basically, or less value. I'm being very sophisticated today. Whereas where the good leads are coming from, because you have this data coming in, and long term you can study what you've got, what was worth the most. You want the whale customer. This is one of the main ways that you're going to be able to do this for your business when you are trying to generate leads from your campaigns, especially when you don't have somebody that normally, when they turn into a lead, doesn't buy right away. Or the other one would be they buy, but you don't see what the true value of that person is until way later on down the road, when they bought 5 more times, or they've renewed their contract 5 more times, or whatever. So you could keep track of this and understand the keywords, where the true meat and potatoes of what you're paying for through Google Ads is at. So you could focus on it more and more over time. I also, before I get into this a little bit more, I've said many times on my other videos that it's not a matter of Google Ads or any PPC, whether you're doing Facebook ads or whatever, Bing ads, LinkedIn ads. It's not a matter of will it work. It's a matter of when it will work. And more specifically, you could add to that, are you going to run out of money before you find out what works? And we're not going to randomly try everything. We're going to start very conservative, and we're going to go after something that's obvious that will work. We're going to track what we're doing, and we're going to identify, did it generate the kind of cost per lead and basically ROI more specifically that we want. And if we don't have it, all we do is we adjust our bids of what we're willing to pay for a certain keyword or a certain device the user's on, so on and so forth, till we price appropriately that traffic that Google or Facebook or whoever is giving to us through manual bidding so that at the end of the day we win no matter what. And then we can try something else and do the same thing there. So everything, if you want to for sure win, then you need to have, obviously still have to do more fundamentally for the user than anybody else, which I talk about on my videos. But also apart from that, you got to know what works and what didn't work specifically. And you got to be able to know how much profit that particular thing made for you. Not how much, what was the cost you had to pay for a lead, but how much profit you made somewhere down the line, so that you can eventually narrow to just the stuff that works consistently day in and day out to generate that 8-to-1 return or 10-to-1 return on your campaigns that you want. And so with this data, you're going to be able to run that, mid to long-term analysis on what you're doing, so that if you weren't quite making the 10-to-1 return on your ad money that you want, you will soon be able to do that. You're paying the piper now to be able to gather some data. Maybe it works right away if you follow my other videos and just go beyond what other people are doing. You may work right away, and I'll promise you if it doesn't, you do this kind of data analysis I'm going to show you here, it will work. It might take you another 6 to 12 to 18 months to make it work at the really insane ROI that most people 80% plus aren't going to get in your space at all, just because that's the way that things shake out, and that you for sure are in that extra 20%. And actually, you're the number one in that space because you did it better, but you also understood not everything runs perfectly, that you're going to be able to know exactly what to pull out that's not going to be able to be met to your standards and not have to guess. So anyway, hopefully I was clear on this and what this is actually going to be about here, what the point of this video is, and what I meant by the title of the video, how to add keyword or campaign data to your leads as they come in, or have it added to your CRM when a lead is showing up in your CRM, in the main ways that you can do it. So I mentioned there's 4 ways to do it because everybody also just has a little bit different situation. They want a little bit different outcome. So I'm going to cover for most people's situations and what outcomes most people want, and then you can decide which way you go with it. So anyway, as usual in my videos, I have a short list of things I want to cover, the do's, the don'ts, how to do this stuff. Ultimately also what kind of results it could bring to you. I kind of touched on that already. Realistically, I mentioned before, if you're understanding what drives profit in your space and that's not clear in your industry itself, you can make 2 to 5 times more profit than other people in your space, just having that extra data, that insight into what actually was driving profit in terms of leads that you were able to get in your space. So you know where, again, like I said at the beginning of the video, where the cream is, so you can just scrape it off the top. So you want to do this almost every, no matter what you're doing, even if it's profitable, it'll make you even more profitable. And if you're not profitable, probably it'll make you profitable the way that you want. So 2 to 5x times increase in profit / basically ROI there, if you want to put it that way. You're getting a 2-to-1 return right now. You want to get an 8-to-1, you have to have it. This is your ticket forward. If you're already getting an 8-to-1 return, this can get you a little bit, maybe to a 10 or 12-to-1 return. But more specifically, it's going to be able to tell you where the 12-to-1 return came from out of your 8-to-1 return, so you can then double down on that one small portion of what you're doing to get even more volume from that one particular area of your account, which brings you more business that's going to be able to generate at least the 8-to-1 return still. So in other words, leverage what you've already built. So anyway, what you want to do to actually, what you want to actually add this data to your leads as they come in. So I didn't exactly word this correctly, apologize. What you actually want to add to your data and why specifically. So normally, if I'm doing lead generation on different PPC campaigns, I am going to collect the keyword that the user typed in when that lead was generated, the campaign name, the ad. Those are the main things. Of course, while I'm at it, if the lead's coming from our Google organic or like SEO, I'm also going to collect that as well, just as a side thing, so I know or if it came from a different source, they hit my landing page, I know where it came from that way as well. But we're talking about PPC here, so did it come from PPC? And if so, what campaign and what keyword are the main things? Maybe the ad. But you start doing that now before you recognize that you want to expand what you're doing and you want to be able to know the easy way to do that, or you're not getting the return you want, as I mentioned before, and you have to take it up a notch. Start doing this stuff today. Again, even if you don't need it, because I can promise you it'll be there. First of all, it'll be there if you need it. You're not getting the return that you want. You want to, or want to expand, but don't know how without actually having the cost per lead go up and therefore your ROI going down. And specifically because it takes quite a bit of time in order to get enough data so that when your lead comes in, you have what keyword they typed in, what campaign they clicked on through, to make some accurate decisions to do either one of those things I mentioned. Realistically speaking, you need at least 100 leads of having what campaign they clicked on and the keyword they clicked on to be able to make strong judgments as to the type of things in your account. So that won't. What the goal is when you do this, by the way, is to tell you exactly what keywords to run and which ones not to run. You look at the general idea list of keywords that generated good profitable business, and then you understand the general area of what your account is doing now you should focus on and which ones you should not. Whether that you want to double down you're going to pay twice as much for the stuff that's really productive and leave the rest, or you're just going to cut out the stuff that's not productive and then just leave the cost per click of the stuff that is effective. There's two different ways to go about with that. So if you're not, again, like I said, if your campaigns are not profitable, this is the way to tell. And it's your insurance for the future. If you start doing PPC today, a year from now you realize it's not profitable by looking at the numbers, you already have the data that's going to be able to dig you out of that hole. I just had a particular account in the IT, remote IT support space, somebody who wants remote IT support for their companies. And, basically we did that tracking where that campaign data was tied, or metadata or whatever, was tied to the lead as it comes in. And we had, basically the campaign started to become less profitable over time at the point in time where Google started having, where their exact match keywords are not really exact match anymore. This happened in 2020. And so I was able to look at all the lead data, and I found out that, like I was talking about before, the general trends of different keywords that worked versus didn't work. And then I was able to go into the account and add negative keywords for anything that did not match that general trend to button down what kind of searches my ads would show up for that particular client, so that they would only show up for something that's produced basically profitable business in the before. And it took an account that was dead in the water then and made it profitable again, when of course everybody else is going to have to be paying for everything, because Google's ultimate goal in all this is to be able to of course increase their revenues, but that's a way around having to pay for the whole basket of keywords, so that the stuff that's just that really is truly going to get you a 10-to-1 return or whatever, we're able to get it. But without the keyword data, we're able to look at a few dozen contracts that came in from 100+ leads that came in, that we were able to see what keywords that we wanted to keep and then what negative keywords we wanted to add. Looked at all the search terms from the beginning. Any search term that was not related to the type of category, the keywords that were tied to leads that turned into profitable business, we added as a negative keyword in an exact match format. So that goes beyond, by the way, just pausing other keywords. You're going to get even more control if you add negative keywords of any search terms that did not match what produced profitable business from in the past. So, but in any case, you need hundreds of leads to be able to look at to do this, and probably a dozen plus clients to be able to make strong conclusions like that, to do something like that for yourself. So you want to get out ahead and do it now and not wait till you actually need it. because it might be 6, 12, 18 months before you're actually able to use that data. And if you aren't, your campaigns are draining you now, well, crap, I should have did that a year ago, because now I have to spend another year's worth of campaign money to get the data that I need now. And then only after another year am I able to make the changes that I want so that it's profitable, the 8-to-1, 10-to-1 return that I want. So anyway, getting into the meat of this, there's 4 basic ways to be able to have this, campaign data tied in with your lead as it comes in, so you have it when you eventually need it. So there's forms that we're going to collect the campaign metadata with the lead, and there's also calls. I'm going to talk about that, but I'm going to start with the forms, how to get when the form's submitted, the keyword, the campaign name, the ad name, so on and so forth. Within the forms, I'm going to talk about if you have no CRM, or if you're using a CRM like Salesforce, Zoho, Agile CRM, and so on and so forth. So if you have no CRM, all you're going to do is on the forms that are on your site, you're going to take that form and you're going to add what is called a hidden form field. And you can just Google that. But basically, you're going to add a hidden form field for the campaign name, which will be what it actually does is the URL from Google automatically, you're going to be able to have because Google puts the campaign name and the keyword and so on and so forth in the URL for the user inside their browser after they click on your ad, so that the form field, if your form is set up with these hidden form fields in order to be able to extract the keyword, the campaign name, and so on and so forth, that is going to pull it from the customized destination URL that Google takes your user to after they click on your ad to be able to get that data, so that when they submit your form, you can't see these. It's called a hidden form field for a reason. There's extra fields that'll then ultimately show up if you're used to getting your email sent to your inbox. The information, the first name, last name, all that will be as usual coming in when your lead comes in, but it also then, if you add the hidden form fields, the campaign name, the keyword, so on and so forth. And so if you don't want to get, if you're using a landing page tool, which I use Unbounce makes this a simple point and click action, because in Unbounce, if you have a form, you can click on advanced and then you just put in there hidden form field, and then you can put in your campaign keyword, and then you're done. Versus if you have forms on your site, you're using an HTML site or whatever, like usual, then you're going to have to change the form. Obviously, there's plugins out there that can make it easy, so maybe you have that, but it'll be more complicated. You may have to understand how to edit HTML form code to be able to collect the hidden form fields to do it. But by and large, you don't have to do anything but add those hidden form fields to your form to be able to collect that data. You can actually collect more than I described there, custom tracking parameters on Google Ads using there's what's called custom tracking or tracking parameters. Those are set up under there's multiple different ways that you can do that in your account. But just to give you an example here, if you wanted to see if one landing page, I'll give an example here. I had a client that one time wanted to know if a lead came from one landing page or another landing page, in their custom database or CRM system where the leads would go to, they wanted to know if that lead came from landing page 1 or landing page 2. Well, if you have tracking parameters set up in your, it's in the ad menu inside your Google Ads account, what it'll do is it will add whether it's landing page 1 or landing page 2 after you set it up to the URL, so that when the form is submitted and you have a hidden form field set up on your form, as I kind of described here before, it'll then pull if it's landing page 1 or landing page 2 with the data so that it can be in with your lead as you get it. So I know that I mentioned that particular client did it in a situation where they had a CRM, but that same information, landing page 1 or 2, could just as easily been sent to your email address where the form information normally comes. But now has with it, did it come from landing page 1 or 2? The same thing could happen if you wanted to categorize all your ads from ads that just had red color scheme and blue color scheme using these custom tracking templates inside your ad menu. You could label all you could have it so that when somebody fills out the form ultimately and it was through an ad that had a red color scheme, you could have that in with your lead data, clicked on an ad with a red color scheme, to give you a general idea how that works. Now normally 95% of the time, people don't worry about this. I'm just mentioning this because you'll know in general something like this is possible and what general direction you need, or what you need to start looking into if you want to do that. But with Google specifically, there's 2 things that they have technically. So there's auto tagging versus manual tagging, and the same thing happens, same terminology, and the same thing happens in Google as well as Bing, by the way. Auto tagging, you can collect the keyword and the campaign name and the ad. Actually, you could collect the source, what it'll tell you, Google CPC. It'll say Google, and then the medium would be CPC, which would be like pay-per-click, and the campaign name and the keyword that the user typed in, and the ad content, which would basically be the name that you name the ad inside your Google Ads account, automatically in that URL, so that if you set up the hidden form fields on your form, as I described before, all that data could be collected by default. If you use manual tagging, which is more of an advanced setup thing, you could set up, so what it is it's what they call UTM parameters. And so it's like at the end of the URL, instead of letting Google customize the URL for you, you put !_, UTM_ landing page, and then you can have other data being collected. For the most part, the auto tagging will be fine. There's a UTM tag builder tool out there that Google provides that could customize your UTM tags for you to make it easy if you're not savvy in doing technical stuff like this. I would look into that if you want to do something by default that's different than the normal stuff normally that you're going to need. Like I said, the campaign name and the keyword and the ad, which is the main thing that you need. Most people are going to need. 90% of people could get by fairly well with just that information. And so if you need more than that, you can use the manual tagging. But then, of course, you also have this tracking template system, which is a little bit more advanced than that. But basically, at the end of the day, within all of this, your lead as it comes into your email account will have that, campaign name, keyword, ad in it. Of course, also it'll tell you if it's Google organic or PPC by default. If you have the just as an added bonus there without having to change anything. But if you need something else, check into manual tagging of your instead of auto tagging, do manual tagging, which is just a simple setting inside your Google Ads account, and then set up your UTM tags yourself, and then get into tracking parameters if that doesn't work for you. So that's a normal order of way I would go about doing this. But for the most part, like I said, most people aren't going to do any of this stuff. But if you would really do yourself a big favor just relying on the auto tagging and collecting the default information auto tagging could provide you. For the reasons I said here, where you could eventually, if you're not getting the ROI you want, you can easily see what type of keywords are driving the good business and which ones are not. So you can start to narrow down or double down on the stuff that's way productive to leverage what you have. If you have a CRM system, this is the kind of the same system to get the same data with your lead. You usually with the CRM, they'll give you a custom form code so that you can put that on your site. So automatically when the user enters their information, it goes right into your CRM. Whether you're using Salesforce, Zoho, Agile, CRM, whatever, they all provide that. And then they have a way within the system to add these custom hidden form fields to your form so that you can do the same thing I just mentioned over here, so that campaign name, keyword ad, so on and so forth can be picked up from the user's URL that's customized after the user clicks on the ad, so that the lead, as it's propagated and ported into your CRM, also contains the campaign name, keyword ad that in medium and source. Did it come from Google Organic or was it a paid ad? And if it was a paid ad, what are the campaign name, keyword, and ad? The same way, but so it's now in your CRM system. If you're using Unbounce or a landing page tool, I always talk about Unbounce because this is the one that I use, and I would ultimately recommend it. It's not the cheapest, but you can relieve yourself of a lot of headaches just taking my advice and just using it. Just kind of trust me on it. But with Unbounce, if you're using a CRM system, as I talked about with Unbounce, it makes it easy to set up the hidden form fields without having to be a programmer. And there's documentation specifically on just Google how to set up hidden form fields and Unbounce, and it's like anybody that's not technical could get that. But if you have Unbounce and you want your form information to go to your CRM, so that you don't with that, so you wouldn't use the custom form code that the CRM gives you. You would just set up direct integration between Unbounce and the CRM system, and that's the other reason why you use Unbounce. If you ask me, is because they have direct integration with the main CRMs. So then basically what it does is it asks you, okay, when somebody fills out the form and you got this integration, you want first name to go where inside your CRM, which will basically say create a lead and put first name under this field in our CRM that's labeled first, and then last name, put it into the field on our lead section as a lead is created in our CRM as last, so on and so forth, so it knows where to map out, where to put the information. As on Unbounce, as I mentioned, you can set up hidden form fields to collect the source media, campaign name, keyword, ad. Then same way that Unbounce would basically be able to, if you weren't using a CRM, send you an email with this information tied with it. That's also going to have the lead information plus all the campaign name, keyword, ad, source, medium stuff. That information will be also sent to the CRM at the end of the day the same way as well. So if you don't want it in an email and you want it in your CRM, you can use the Unbounce, and Unbounce will send it to your CRM as if you were to take their custom form code and modify it and add the hidden form fields to it yourself, that in which you would not be using Unbounce and would put on your website normally. So just wanted to bring that up so you can understand out of your basic setups here, whether you're using a landing page tool or not, or using a CRM or not, what you can do. For the calls, by the way, you can use CallRail or Call Tracking Metrics is another call tracking software that you can use. Basically, if you don't know how that works yet, CallRail will allow you to have a tracking number that goes on your site. That it's a piece of JavaScript code or just a piece of web code that instead of having your number show up, it automatically detects your number and swaps it with a new number that looks identically formatted as your old number, so that users won't know any difference. It forwards the user's call when they call in to your phone, so basically to you and the end user, they notice no difference, and captures the metadata like campaign name, keyword, ad, so on and so forth when that user calls, so that after that call's over with, you can go and log into your system there on CallRail or Call Tracking Metrics and see there'll be a table that has each call, the time and the date, and then all that, same ad, keyword, campaign, so on and so forth, the data tied to that data entry that shows that call came in at a certain date and at a certain time. They also will record the call, unless you don't want them to, of course, so that you can go in there and you could listen to the call and know Joe Smith is the one that called. So, okay, and here's what keyword they typed in and so on and so forth for your calls. Now, if you're using a CRM, then there's a direct integration, because if you use the most popular softwares out there for different things that you're doing, the great thing is you usually have a direct integration with your other software, other main, most important CRM systems out there. But if you're using Salesforce, for instance, then they'll have a direct integration between CallRail and Salesforce, so that when the user calls and CallRail captures the source medium, campaign name, keyword ad data along with that caller, then it can create a lead inside Salesforce for you automatically as soon as that call goes through, like instantly. And then it'll have, it'll try to find if there's publicly found data on the person's, that phone number that's listed, like white pages information, but it'll send, the call recording, and it'll send the date and time that the lead was generated and set up. And so basically, you'll still have to go in there and write down on that particular lead that was sent from the CallRail integration with Salesforce what the first and last name is, because it's not sophisticated enough to know how to fill in the first and last name fields. But the call recording's there, you play it, and just like before, you'll know John Smith called. Okay, you'll edit first and last name there. But then once you've done that, you have that for that lead automatically tied to it, all this source medium, campaign name, keyword ad along with it. And so that gets you your calls inside Salesforce with all your source medium, campaign name, keyword ad with it as well. And so that whether the user comes in and through the web form on your site or they call, you're always going to have source medium, campaign name, keyword ad tied to that lead. So eventually when they make it out to the other side as a one deal in Salesforce, eventually you can generate a report that says, what are all the keywords that people typed in, or campaign names, or what ads they clicked on that generated the one deal? And what was the most, out of the ones that was the one deal, the biggest ones, what campaign name and keyword and ad did they use? And you can start to study that information, and the more data you get, the stronger conclusions and inferences you can make. So that's what I would recommend with the CallRail as well. Of course, it's all can be moved over from CallRail to CRM manually, of course. And if you wanted to do some analysis on all your leads, but if you weren't using a CRM, then basically you're just going to go into CallRail and you're going to move that data from CallRail into a Google shared spreadsheet or whatever, and then check your email address and filter your emails by the leads that came in. If you're not using a CRM and your form lead data is sending to an email, and have you or somebody, I will have an assistant move everything from the email into the same spreadsheet, so that the spreadsheet at the end of the day has all the leads from forms and all the leads from calls, and then their source medium, campaign name, keyword ad data all in there. So then I can then do some filtering and so on and so forth and see the categories and types of keywords that are drawing in the business and which ones basically aren't. So that, like I said, you can go in there and just start blocking everything that doesn't produce, that's not in the general range of what produces business. Just start blocking it. Or again, the other route is to double down on the stuff that's super profitable. If I'm already profitable but I want to be more profitable and leverage what I got, I can double down on the stuff that's the most profitable out of the bunch. So anyway, before I wrap this up, I just want to talk about some different situations here. I gave some different scenarios, CRM, no CRM, and you can use the tracking parameters, and you can use manual UTM tagging. If you're not using unbounce, at the end of the day, all this is about guiding the campaigns. If you're not using unbounce, then I just mentioned it's kind of a pain to move everything over to a spreadsheet to be able to run some clear analysis on your data at the end of the day. Unbounce, the great thing about Unbounce, even if you're not using a CRM, is they have a spreadsheet already that you can download that has all the leads information, first name, last name, whatever form fields that you had on your form, plus all this source medium, campaign name, keyword ad in it. So it's just a simple export. And then obviously a call tracking software like CallRail, it's the same thing. There's also simple export. So you could just be merging two exports, one from CallRail, one from Unbounce. If you use Unbounce, it's just another bonus to it. I also, just as a quick side note, if you have a web form on your site, if that ever breaks, you can lose a crap ton of money before you realize the form breaks. Whereas if you're using an Unbounce, it'll keep a hard copy of every lead that comes in. So in case a lot of times a lead won't get through to an email. So if you have a problem, you at least have a backup copy of that lead in the unbounce as it saves it for you there. If you're using a form on your site, you're not using like an unbounce, I would have like a Gravity Forms that keeps a hard copy of the lead there as well. It also can email it to you, but you also have a hard copy of that lead. So you can have someone double check once a week, hey, is there anything that did not come through, that type of thing. Or if it broke for a month and you're saying, crap, I didn't know that it was broken. I had the IT person change something on the site and they weren't competent and they broke this. You didn't lose a month's worth of leads. You know, you'd be saying, I don't know why the results are off. And you ask your PPC guy and they say, I don't know. And it takes you a month. I see this stuff all the time happen. Then you finally figure it out and a month's worth of leads are gone, basically. Because you can't see, and a lot of times in just 1 week if something's broken like that. But in a month you can. So don't leave yourself open to that. Just as a whole side note, just a quick lesson on stuff to use and not use, how to decide what you want to use. If you're using Unbounce with the CRM, by the way, and so you have your nice CRM, Salesforce, Soho, Agile CRM, whatever you're using, all those softwares, if you have the source medium, campaign name, keyword ad in with your leads, and then you have the revenue data in there because you'll write in how much the sale is worth in the deal section if your lead advances that far. Additionally, what you can do is your custom form that they give you to put on your site, you could add a hidden form field with what is called the GCLID code. You can Google that. It's a serial number that Google assigns to every click. And you can also collect that along with your source medium, campaign name, keyword, ad. And so that eventually in your deal section, you can see on a monthly basis, you can take your deals that turn into a closed deal and all the GCLID codes, and then you can import that list of GCLID codes back into Google Ads, and then you can see what device that user used when they turned into a profitable deal for you, day of the week that they did it, time of the day that they did it, what state the user's from, what their interests were, and then it gets a lot more easier to narrow things down the way that I kind of harped on throughout this video of why you actually want to collect this data when you're generating leads. You can make long-term inferences about what you should be spending money on, more money on, or no money on at all. And so if you have a CRM and you link together and you import call rel data or call checking metrics data to your CRM, and that also, by the way, can have GCLID automatically collected by those softwares as a side benefit. And then you have your form data automatically fed in, and your sales team are automatically using the CRM. You can, the other half of what you can do to narrow down ads would be to import data from your Salesforce then back into your Google Ads account, or from Zoho back into your Google Ads account. You can also do it there. Also with Agile CRM, in that process also can be automated because you can link your Salesforce account with Google Ads. You can do the same thing with Salesforce is the one that you can link directly so that Salesforce is linked with Google Ads, so that GCLID code I just told you about, that actually can be imported into Google Ads automatically. So the whole process is automated, and at the end of the day, as soon as a deal is marked won by one of your salespeople in Salesforce, that GCLID code gets put into Google Ads, and then automatically whatever revenue was tied to that deal shows up in your ad account wherever it should be shown up, i.e. what keyword it was generated under, so that over time you could see keyword A generated $870 worth of revenue. Keyword B generated $9,700 in revenue. And also mobile devices generated this much revenue, and desktop devices generated this much revenue. So I recommend taking it the rest of the way there. And if you pay good money for the premium Salesforce, then you can, a side benefit to that as well is you can automate this whole entire process. So just having, though, to be able to do the manual meta-analysis on what keywords are generally and what campaigns are generally producing the business for you is a huge bonus. 9 out of 10 people probably already aren't doing that in your niche or industry space that are running ads. But if you get the GCLID code imported into Google Ads, so you can see on all these different levels, parental status, household income, what city they're from, what state they're from, so you can narrow down at that level. Nobody basically probably in your space has that. Or if you're lucky, or should I say not lucky, there might be one other person, but they won't be using the data very good. And why do I know this? Because I've looked at hundreds of accounts before. I've seen what people are using and what people aren't using. And like I've said many times in my videos, if you want to be able to win this PPC game for sure and make millions of dollars a year and profit from it, just do what everybody else isn't willing to do that works. It takes more time and effort to set up, but once it's going, it works and it works and it works, generally speaking, with some minor maintenance along the way. So there's no secret as to how to be able to generate millions of dollars a year in sales and profit from like Google Ads. It's a matter of, are you going to be the one that will go through all these actions for yourself to capitalize on it? Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. I have a lot of other videos that go over specific money-making PPC strategies on this channel. You should check those out if you haven't already. On my blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog, I have step-by-step instructions that talk about guaranteed campaigns that are guaranteed to generate a lot of money, a lot of profit, a lot of business that I use for our clients here at the firm, that we have to guarantee results for our clients, and that you can see what we're actually using here. If you have any questions or concerns or comments about collecting this campaign data along with your leads, you have a unique situation, whatever you want to ask, leave me a comment down below. I get back to everybody who comments on my channel. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this at least got you on the right track of understanding this stuff, why you want to use it, why you want to go through the pain of doing it, and how to actually go about doing it, hiring somebody and understanding what you need to be telling them, or to make sure you don't get snowed by them, so you can get it set up for yourself and actually to understand how to use this to turn into actual money for you at the same time.